I think we'll go ahead and get started with our disaster recovery center information. We have a new face from FEMA here today. I'm taking a little out of order because we're waiting for some people to join, but Chad Bowman, I'm wondering if you could introduce yourself and then tell us what's happening at the DRC. Chad? You know, I'll wait and try to get his attention later, but I think we've got Marielli here. Marielli, usually you don't go first, but today we're having fun with the rundown, and I'm wondering if you could start with SBA information. We'll try to get Chad's attention.
It's okay, no worries. Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's talk about Pajaro DRC numbers from SBA specifically. So far we have received 1,275 FEMA referrals, and we have received 44 home loan applications and 46 business loan applications. We have approved more than $2.5 million just for Pajaro, for Monterey County, I'm sorry. So that's a very good number. So far, we have received some information that we are expecting to close the DRC at Pajaro on July 20th. As soon as I have confirmation, I will let you know, okay? Okay, so in Spanish. Hemos recibido 1,275 referidos de parte de FEMA. Hemos recibido 44 aplicaciones de propietarios de vivienda. Hemos recibido 46 solicitudes o aplicaciones de parte de los negocios y hemos aprobado más de $2.5 millones para el condado de Monterey. Esperamos, hemos recibido información de que esperamos cerrar el centro el próximo 20 de julio. Tan pronto tengamos confirmación final, pues voy a estar entonces compartiéndole la información. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, and as always, nice to see you.
Sí.
And now I see we've got Chad here. Chad, we were going a little out of order today, so Marielli went first. You know, it happens. But I'm hoping you can introduce yourself because we've had Tiana Super here for so long in Pajaro, and you're a new face from FEMA for us. So I'm hoping you'll introduce yourself and tell us about what is happening at the DRC. And there are some audio problems there for you, Chad.
Is that any better?
Gotcha.
Perfect. Sorry about that. Thank you for the quick introduction, and thank you for having me on here today. Yeah, my name is Chad Bowman. I am with FEMA External Affairs. I am one of the media relations specialists and the Assistant External Affairs Office. I want to, first of all, thank you folks for having us on every week and allowing Tiana to be a part of this and continuing with me today. We just have a few quick updates. The DRC at Pajaro Middle School is still open. It has seen a total of 96 visitors as of close of business yesterday. As far as the individual assistance numbers go, total registrations for Monterey County are 2,224. And the total amount approved, $4,226,462.95. 4,226,462.95. It's amazing, and we are very happy to know that we've been able to put more than $4 million into the hands of survivors in Monterey County in such a short period of time. What may feel like an eternity at this point for how long it's been is really just a small glimpse of time. And one thing that we want everybody to remember is that these storms come in and they are detrimental to the communities within seconds or even minutes. And even though we want to rebuild and we want money to end up back in the hands of survivors within that same small period of time, the reality is it's just not going to happen. And sometimes that rebuilding process and putting the money in the hands of survivors is going to take maybe not just weeks or months, but maybe longer. So the fact that we can put more than $4 million into the hands of survivors in Monterey and get more than 2,200 people registered already is absolutely fantastic. And we're very pleased with the numbers and the progression that we continue to make in Monterey each week. So that's what I have. And again, I just want to thank you for allowing me to take part in this today and provide the information we have. So thank you very much.
We really appreciate FEMA and SBA's participation in this to keep everybody aware of all the hard work for recovery and resources for residents in Pajaro. If you wouldn't mind putting the numbers that you gave us in chat, and Marielli, maybe you could do the same, put those numbers in, and that way I can be sure that everybody gets them after our briefing. And I've got Nick Pasculi, and his hand is raised, and so I'm going to call on him.
Thanks, Maya. Chad, welcome to our briefing today. I'm the County Communications Director. I do want to ask a quick question. With the DRC being open still at Pajaro Middle School, because we will probably get questions from some of the folks in the media. In fact, maybe some of them have that question. How long do you anticipate that DRC being open? I mean, what is at least the guesstimate at this point?
As of right now, we do not have a tentative closing date. The needs of the DRC are looked at on a continual basis, and those conversations are had between individuals at FEMA and individuals with the county, as you know. And when we see a total of 16 individuals that visited the DRC in one day, which was yesterday, more than 50% of those individuals were there for the very first time. And we were able to get a couple of registrations out of those individuals, shows there's a need. As long as we even have one person that walks into that facility, that means that that's one person we were able to help that may not have been able to get the help they needed if it was not open. So although we are not able to keep these DRCs open indefinitely, and as long as we ever want to, because if it was up to us and if we could, of course, right, we'd keep these facilities open till we reached every single person. Unfortunately, that's not reality in what we can do. So as long as we can continue to support and see individuals come in to get the assistance they need, we will assess that need and keep it open as long as we can. And I think based on the numbers we're seeing right now, we're on that progression to keep it open for a little bit longer, which is why we do not see a tentative date at this time. Great. So I hope that helps, Nick.
Yeah, no, that's great, Chad. And it was a question, a purposeful question, because I wanted to make sure the community got that message that, you know, as long as the need exists, that, you know, we're going to be there for them. So thank you.
100%. Thank you, sir.
And then we have Kelsey Scanlon with us from Department of Emergency Management, and we're hoping she can give us a quick update on what is happening in recovery from the county's perspective. Hi, Kelsey.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. We are still actually still actively responding in addition to recovery efforts. From our response side, we are still providing emergency shelter for approximately 50 families that have been displaced by the flooding in Pajaro. That program was extended an additional 30 days. So we are actively working to reissue vouchers for eligible guests, while also connecting them with additional social services and assisting them in navigating their housing plans and returning to their previous dwelling or finding a new one. We have multiple nonprofits assisting us in that case management, including Community Bridges and Catholic Charities and Cecil. So we greatly appreciate their partnership in providing additional wraparound services for our displaced community, and look forward to everyone being able to navigate to their next housing situation or previous housing situation in the coming weeks. In addition to that, obviously, the county is generally conducting recovery activities in terms of infrastructure and cost recovery. But more notably, we are working to develop a recovery task force that will be whole community centric and includes input from the community and looks at our 5 to 10 year recovery plan, not just the immediate term. So our hope is that this planning process will take about 6 months to a year to fully engage on addressing some of the larger challenges that our community in North County faces, and how we might be able to overcome those challenges, how we can create more sustainable services in the area, as well as reduce and mitigate long-term risk. And so those planning efforts will be presented in the coming weeks, and how people can engage with the county and participate in the planning process will also be more readily available in the coming weeks as we move forward in engaging discussions on long-term risk reduction and recovery, and which initiatives might move forward for requests for funding, or where funding might be made available for those different initiatives.
That's really great information and very exciting about the Recovery Task Force. I'm sure there are a lot of people who would like to participate at some level in that. Are there any questions for Kelsey or Chad or Marielli? Okay, I've got a question. Let's see, I'm not sure who this is for, but we'll figure it out when I read it. As you provide an update on the number of Pajaro households who are still without permanent housing by the end of the temporary, can you provide, I think you just gave it, provide a number?
We currently have about 50 households, and every week we have more people exiting the program as they return to their previous dwelling or find a new dwelling. And this does change weekly. A lot of our guests are really struggling with their insurance companies, or trying to get a clear update from their landlords as to when they can get back. As with any type of recovery and any type of construction, as I'm sure you're all aware, it really is week to week, but especially with flood repairs. So the number is constantly changing, especially with anticipation by the end of the program, how many will be able to go home, how many might not have a place to go. That number does fluctuate daily as people look for new housing, as housing becomes more available, as more housing programs present themselves, as people become more eligible for different housing programs. So right now the current census is 50 families, and we'll provide more information as the program gets closer to that end date. I would also state, though, this group of guests that we have been connected to multiple programs consistently since their time with us beginning March 11th. And so we are actively working to make sure that they have a place to go, whether it's through their friends, family network, or an actual dwelling to move home to, or offering programs for emergency sheltering beyond the non-congregate shelter program. And the program is anticipated to end at the end of July. And that is the update that we have. There are not currently discussions about continuing the program past August. Past the end of July and into August, excuse me. And we are doing everything within our power to support our guests and provide them with necessary resources, or connect them with organizations that have resources.
Thank you, Kelsey. Any other questions for?
Yeah, sorry, this is Hillary from that message I just sent out. Yes, I do just want to clarify. I think last week there was a number that was like 60 households are still in the program, and then about 30 didn't have permanent housing established for, by the time the end of July comes around. So that's the number I was looking for. Is that not like an estimate that you have again this week?
Not this week, but we can be prepared to have one for next week. As I said currently we have 50 families, 50 households. So that number has obviously decreased since last week, as people have been able to move home. And with the people who are unable to return to their previous dwelling, a component of participating in this program is that they're actively looking for housing and they're looking for apartments and getting on wait lists. So those numbers do fluctuate as people either are removed from housing lists or they are added to them. It is very much a fluctuating situation, and I feel uncomfortable at this time providing a solid number of who may or may not have a place to go at the end of the program.
Hillary, do you have another question?
Yeah, thank you for that, Kelsey. And then just wanted to check in to see if there's an update on the Kent's Court dates for folks to be able to move in there as well.
I believe that went to the Board of Supervisors yesterday. The Kent's Court group is actively in our non-congregate shelter program, or some have, I believe, found residents elsewhere while they're waiting to return to Kent's Court. But I will defer to HCD on when they'll be able to return back to the dwelling, whether it's in July or August.
And Hillary, I can get you the board items for that after the briefing.
Thank you. And so does anyone have an update on that, or do I need to check in with HCD? Okay.
I don't have anyone on the briefing right now to speak specifically to what you're asking for on Kent's Court, but I can get that for you after the briefing.
All right. Thanks so much.
Any other questions for our Pajaro? Nick Pasculi, did you have something you wanted to talk about now or later?
No, I think wanted to address was the governor's budget. With the good news that $20 million is being allocated to the disaster survivors in Pajaro. And I think that's an important piece for our friends in the media to talk about, because it was because of the tremendous activities that were involved with our staff and our elected officials in lobbying and advocating strongly for this community. I think the fact that the budget was successfully passed with a $20 million allocation to Pajaro is demonstrative of the county's commitment to the people of Pajaro and advocating on their behalf. And so I know it's a priority for the county, and I can speak for the Department of Emergency Management as well as the CAO's office, that we stay focused.
Can you? Oh, okay.
Karen, can you mute?
That we stay focused on the recovery efforts of the people, which is what our focus has been and will continue to be. So we're anxious to have the governor sign the bills today. Hopefully, we're hearing from our friends in Sacramento that he should be getting his pen out shortly, and we'll hopefully have some more information in the coming weeks with regard to how that investment in Pajaro is going to be distributed. So I think that's
I can actually speak to that a bit, Nick.
Okay,
So with any type of money, there's likely going to be stipulations for how it's spent. So within those parameters, what will likely happen is that the Pajaro Recovery Task Force that is putting together our long-term recovery plan will present recommendations for how best to utilize the money for projects that are currently without funding to the Board of Supervisors for them to determine how best to utilize that money. So it's very much a collective process for which the community is actively involved, and an organized process for strategically leveraging the money that is made available.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Nick. And Nick, any last thoughts on that?
I know. And then I also, just while Hillary was asking her question, I shot an email to HCD to get that information on Kent's Court. So we'll get it to you, Hillary. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And we're going to then now move from our Pajaro topic, and we've got our agricultural commissioner here, and he is going to tell us about the Ag Pass program. You may recall the Ag Pass program was created to assist agricultural interests, ranchers, farmers with emergency access in emergency situations. And the first course has happened for those with the Ag Pass. And Juan, I'm hoping you'll tell us how it went and what is next.
Yeah, thanks, Maya. Thanks for having me here. Juan Hidalgo, Agricultural Commissioner, and Sealer of Huecha Measures. Yes, just to follow up, so the Ag Pass is a new program. It was approved by the board back in April. We are fully deployed now. We had 32 operators in the county that filed applications for the Ag Pass with my office. And we held fire and safety training, which was coordinated with my office and CAL FIRE, sheriffs, public works, and also the Monterey Bay Regional Fire District. And that training was held back on June the 5th. It was well attended. We had 62 participants, and it's a 4-hour training that they had to go through, which is part of the requirement to be able to qualify to obtain the Ag Pass. So we're hoping that this is going to be a successful program. I think there's a lot of advantages in agricultural operations, getting the Ag Pass, and it puts us in a position to be more ready when we encounter some of the disasters that we have seen in our county over the last few years, to be able to coordinate some of the key activities to help preserve and save, whether it be livestock or some of the agricultural commodities that may be impacted by fires, for instance, which is one of the probably one of the most impactful activities on livestock, to say the least.
And how did the growers do it? I mean, it's a 4-hour class. They were probably getting a lot of information that they may have never thought about, in times of disaster. Usually in a disaster, they're saying, we're telling them to stay out. Now they're telling them they can come in. What were some takeaways for them that they may not have realized?
Yeah, I think one of the main things that our growers didn't fully realize is the amount of communication that actually happens between all of the law enforcement and emergency operations with our emergency operations office. And some of the decision making that goes into account, when some areas are off limits or evacuation orders are listed to keep communities safe. So I think it was important for them to understand, get a perspective on that, and also to help understand just some basics on, how fires can move, how terrain and weather can have an impact on locations. And I think that was really important for people to see and kind of get a better sense for that information and how that leads to some of the decisions that occur afterwards to be able to keep communities safe.
So it sounds like we may have some new partners in our emergency communications that we didn't have before.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I think, growers are that attended were really happy to receive the information and happy to, have a more open line of communication, whether it be through my office, or maybe with some of the emergency personnel, but primarily I'm sure the Ag Commissioner's office is going to serve as a conduit to be able to communicate to our growers when emergencies are taking place, and working with our emergency management office as well.
And I'm sorry if you mentioned this, but did you say when the next Ag Pass program will be?
Yeah, so one of the challenging things with the Ag Pass is some of the training that is required as part of obtaining an Ag Pass. So, the training by CAL FIRE is an absolute requirement. And because we're entering fire season, we don't have the ability to coordinate that training with CAL FIRE and some of the other law enforcement at this time. Their focus has shifted to fire protection for the next several months. We anticipate that we will reopen Ag Passes probably later this winter, which is when CAL FIRE may be available after the fire season to help coordinate another training with interested growers.
Well, so at least we've got some kind of already now embedded with us, in case of a disaster this summer, and then hopefully we'll sweep in some more in the next training.
Yes, that's what we hope. It is a new program, so there are some requirements, and at this point, not everyone can qualify to get an Ag Pass, but we're hoping to kind of learn as the program progresses here over the next several months, and hopefully have an ability to be able to have more inclusion in the program in future months.
Thank you very much, Juan, for coming in and giving us an update on this really great program. We appreciate it. And hopefully we'd like to have you back after the next program, get us through fire season and tell us about the next group.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Now, June 30th is an important day. It is the last day for Monterey County residents to voice their concerns about digital equity and digital access here at home and throughout the state. Monterey County is hoping for 250 survey responses from county residents to really get a snapshot of what our needs here. Sarah House from our Information Technology Department is here to tell us why the survey is important, not only at the state level for us here at home. Hi, Sarah.
Thank you, Mia. This anonymous survey is intended to gather valuable insights into the existing gaps and disparities impacting digital equity, which will help the state to develop a thorough digital equity plan. Our residents are the best resources to provide insight into the barriers that they face and the impacts. And so the digital equity plan will then will prioritize the 8 covered populations, individuals living in households at or under the federal poverty level, seniors, our veterans, individuals with disabilities, individuals with language barriers, racial ethnic minorities, and rural residents. Their input is vital. The term broadband has been, and broadband expansion has been around for years. However, now what's different is that seeking community engagement to plan for what the funding will be used for is so vital. Our residents can go to any of the Monterey County Free Library sites to access the survey online, and we'll continue to promote future community engagement and input opportunities that support the efforts to address the digital divide. Currently, we're at 414 surveys submitted. That's about 9% of the population. And I think that the state had picked the number 250, but what we want to do is we want to have a greater percentage of individuals and a greater percentage that's representative of the community members. And so we want to certainly make sure that everyone knows June 30th, and it is available in 14 languages. And you can also easily access it. And this is something we want to make sure all broadband information is on the county page. It's going to be mcbroadbandforall.org. So once again, it's mcbroadbandforall.org. And okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sarah, I just want you to also, kind of looking back, the county and information and technology have really been involved for quite some time in digital equity. This isn't the first pass that we've had. We have been supporting outreach programs to help people get signed up for reduced fee online service. Why is it so important, and I'm asking you to tell me, for people to hear, why is it so important for people to have access to online resources and just get online right now?
Thank you for that question. Our director is an advocate for the technology side of it and has been an advocate for broadband expansion. But the difference that the different approach that we're taking today through our director is that we are not just focusing on the technology side. Having an expanding broadband is not the only answer. We have to take a multidisciplinary approach, and we have to also collaborate with our community partners, because we also have to promote the adoption to engage our community members to make sure that they're aware of the opportunities that are available, the programs that are available, such as what you just mentioned, affordable connectivity program that you can enroll on through that webpage, mcbroadbandforall.org. Is that community members don't know the programs that are out there. So it's very important for us to promote that, because just because we build it doesn't necessarily mean they come and they have access. We have to have an approach that says we have to promote the adoption. We have to address digital literacy. So we partner with the libraries and other community members, community agencies, to ensure that it's not just making it available, it's also to engage our community members, and also to provide input, because this is the first time since that our community members can provide input and input on how it's rolled out and how it is used, and have a voice to say. In the past, they haven't, and they've focused maybe on the technology side, but it's more than technology. Now today, we actually have multidisciplinary groups that have not crossed paths in the past, that participate and discuss broadband expansion. So those are some of the things that are happening, and you will see a lot of broadband terminology. And what we will do is we will try to streamline it and clarify it, but always seek opportunities to promote it, such as today is to promote for the community to provide input.
Thank you, Sarah, and great news that we're seeing we've hit our target, and now we can keep going and show the state how much we rock here in Monterey County. All right, thank you, and we'll check back on our total numbers and let the community know how many people did respond. Appreciate your time. And now we're going to turn to fire season, not fire season, but fires and fireworks. We've had plenty of rain, but rain is over and fire season has begun. I'm sure you've all seen the vegetation fires recently in the last week or so that have cropped up, and fireworks always pose a significant risk in our area. We've got Matthew Lumadue, and I hope I said your name correctly, from Regional Fire, to tell us some safety information about fireworks. And Matthew, I'm hoping you might start with what people should know about fireworks and where fireworks are allowed.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is here today, who has been helping with residents within our community, whether it be organizing meetings, the Ag Pass, assisting those who were displaced. We just want to really extend our thanks to all of you for all of the efforts that you've been doing. Back to fire. Yes, you are correct. All this lovely rain that we got this year, definitely, appreciated, but we did get a lot of grass growing up. I'm sure, as everyone's noticed, some of our tall grasses throughout the county are reaching about 8 feet tall. And so there are a lot of concerns about vegetation fires occurring from fireworks. I did put together a small slideshow, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Please let me know if you can't see or hear me, but we'll go ahead and start right here. All right, so again, my name is Matt Lumadue. I'm our fire prevention specialist with Monterey County Regional Fire District. Fireworks are always a concern. And to your question about where fireworks are and aren't allowed, let's see. So the possession, manufacturing, storage, handling, and sales of fireworks is prohibited. However, legal fireworks approved by the state fire marshal are allowed in some of the cities within the county of Monterey. For our jurisdiction, we operate solely in somewhat rural areas outside of the city limits mostly. So fireworks are completely illegal in all of our areas. Some cities where fireworks are allowed are Marina, Seaside, Salinas, Soledad, Greenfield, and Kings City. Here's a quick statistic. On average, US-wide, about 18,000 fires are sparked each year from fireworks. So the big takeaway from this is really never light fireworks near dry grass or other flammable materials. Being cognizant and careful of where you're going to use these fireworks is very important. And I must reiterate that fireworks are only legal if they are purchased legally and used within the city that they are purchased. Alongside of fires, fireworks cause bodily injury as well. So these are injury statistics that are from fireworks themselves, not necessarily from a fire caused by fireworks. So once we start having fires from fireworks, unfortunately, these numbers go up and there could be further and even more severe injuries. So where fireworks are prohibited, like I mentioned, and kind of going back to the original question, fireworks are prohibited everywhere outside of the city where they are purchased. So transporting fireworks, not allowed. Taking them outside of the city where you purchased them, not allowed. Taking them to, back to your rural home, not only not allowed, but very, very dangerous. There's reasons why these fireworks are only allowed in certain areas, and it has to do with the probability of fire ignition. Any aerial fireworks are illegal in all of California. So regardless of where you get your fireworks, and you will be only igniting them in the city where you purchase them, many types of fireworks are illegal. When we go to these stands, there will actually be a state fire marshal certificate and tag and label on every firework that is sold. If it doesn't have that label, it is illegal. NFPA.org is a great source for more information, and the Consumer Product Safety Commission, they're the ones that basically regulate a lot of the fireworks. Also a great place for more information. On the next slide, we have included some fireworks safety tips. So again, use only state fire marshal approved fireworks. Always read directions, always have an adult present. Only use fireworks outdoors. That might be common sense, but common sense is less common on a daily basis. One thing I'd really like to emphasize is even if you are legally using legal fireworks, don't light them near dry grass, other flammable materials. One thing that's not on this list, and we will go to our injury prevention safety tips. I always recommend using goggles. I mean, we use goggles for all other, tools, any kind of hazardous actions that we're doing. I think goggles are important in this. But another important part of this is never point fireworks at another person, and never place your body directly over a fireworks device. When lighting a legal firework, make sure to either use an igniter and stand away, or stay away from it, but never look down on it as you're lighting it. This is a QR code. You can hold your phone right over it and actually scan this, and it'll take you to a site where you can find out more information about fireworks. And the last, please obey the laws, be safe, don't be sorry. Enjoy your 4th of July, but do it responsibly. Again, thank you all for having me today. It was kind of a short and sweet presentation. My phone number is on the first slide, so if anyone has any questions, you're always welcome to contact me about more information on fireworks safety.
Matthew, thank you so much for running through all of this, especially the things you think people know, but they don't always necessarily know, because each year somebody shows us that they don't know. Fireworks safety tip. So what are you guys planning, or in terms of regional fire, for 4th of July? Do you have extra staff? Do you have normal staffing? Do you, what do you do in preparation?
As far as I know at this time, we'll have normal staffing. We have been basically doing some area orientation, looking at areas where we might have larger problems, doing some pre-planning. We're not going to be staging any additional resources in any areas. But this is one thing we're doing right here, is trying to get the information out to the public. Just like you said, some people think they may know it. Even seasoned professionals who have used fireworks, and even professional grade fireworks in the past, they always have surprises come up on them. So safety is of the utmost importance. If you do happen to live in an area where you are allowed to use fireworks and you're doing them safely, we also recommend a bucket of water to place your discarded fireworks in. Again, don't ever keep them in your pocket. Phones, different heat sources can actually ignite fireworks. So we really want to be careful of it. Today marks the kickoff of fireworks sales in those cities where it is legally allowed. At noon today, fireworks stands opened, and they will be allowed to sell through the 6th of July. So they are out there. We'll probably start receiving some calls. My guess is any minute now about people using fireworks. I want people to also understand that the police in your different areas are not hesitant to issue fines. The fines start at around $1,000. Some areas it is $1,000 per illegal device. And the fines for using fireworks in areas where they're not allowed can be quite a bit heftier. So please spread the word. Keep it safe this year. We don't want to end up having a terrible 5th because someone made a giant mistake.
Thank you for that great advice. We hope everyone stays safe out there. We're also very worried about pets around the 4th of July, And we've asked Cindy Burnham to join us again to remind people about things that they can do to help keep their pets safe and resources in case their pet gets away from them and is afraid of fireworks. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, thank you. Thanks. Perfect segue, obviously. So in addition to what Matthew said and keeping yourself safe, let's talk a little bit about what you can do to keep your pets safe. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So I'm from Hitchcock Road Animal Services. We're out here at 160 Hitchcock Road. We're providing services for County of Monterey and Salinas. And just want to reiterate, 4th of July is the busiest time for animal shelters. Our pets don't know what fireworks are. They're big, they're loud, they're scary. And it literally can scare some animals so bad that they stop thinking about where they are and they just take off and run. And so we see a lot, we do see a big increase in just intake of lost pets. In the last week, we've taken in 106 animals, and it's been a while since we've hit over 100 in 1 week. So we are starting to see that. We're currently starting our pre 4th of July weekend at about 97% capacity for dogs and 68% capacity for cats. And it is also kitten season, which is why our kitten population is rising. But just again, I can't reiterate it enough, as Matthew indicated, is you just gotta, fireworks are here. They've been going off for weeks in probably most communities, and they're going to be going off for weeks after. And so pet owners, it is your responsibility to help your pets stay safe. So some key things, I would say 4th of July and into this weekend. I think a lot of people will be celebrating this weekend. Keep your pets inside your home. This is not the holiday to take them with you. If you are lucky enough to have a pet who's kind of doesn't respond to them, give them the time off and just let them relax. Give them a safe place to hide. I know some people, we make some safe places in garages or the quietest part of the house, but a lot of times they just want to run and hide. And so let them do that so they don't try to injure themselves and trying to make their own place to hide. Use ambient noise. I keep the TV on all night long. As soon as fireworks start in my community, my TV's on, or a radio or something to where so that the only thing they're not hearing is the fireworks, because then it just amplifies. And we all know our pets have 20 times better hearing than we do. So just imagine that too. If it's loud for us, it's even louder for them. Keep them busy. Take them for walks ahead of time. Give them busy treats. If you have dogs that love Kongs, give them a couple Kongs, give them some Chewies. Keep your cat busy, tire them out so that they're able to relax a little bit. If you have a vet or a pet that just gets super worked up and, you're fearful for their safety, then perhaps it's time to talk to your vet. Might be a little late to get into a vet now, but if you're lucky enough to have a vet that can see you before the weekend, might be a good time to have that conversation. And God forbid your pet gets lost, make sure their information's updated. If they have a microchip, call the chip company and make sure that it's current. Probably on a weekly basis, we get in pets that have microchips and the chips were never registered, or the pet owner moved and hasn't updated. And if you moved to California from Arizona and never updated, we're trying to reach you in Arizona, which if you've moved to California, that's not helpful. So make sure your pet information is updated. And I would add a caveat: if you are going out of town and you have a pet sitter, please make sure your pet sitter knows what to do to keep your pet safe in your absence. Pets tend to get lost more often when they have a pet sitter because their mom and dad aren't home. They're already anxious and worried and near sometimes people they don't know, and then fireworks go off. And we've had cases even just this week of people that have gone out of town, their pets got lost. Pet owners weren't told because the pet sitters didn't know what to do, and their pets have been sitting in shelters for more than just a few days. And so let your pet sitters know what to do should your pet get out. And let them know if you have a pet that is likely to get super scared. They need to know these things. So it's not just about feeding them and keeping them in the yard. If you do find a lost pet. Try to get it back home first. Don't just scoop it up and bring it to us. A lot of times the owner's right next door. So you can text the single word 831 found to our texting number. We'll start sending you automatic links and tips, as well as a link to our lost pet, our found pet form. Look for any tags with numbers, call the numbers, see if you can get them home. Ask around the neighborhood. If there's kids in your neighborhood, sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I know where that dog lives. Post on local social media outlets. Many pets are reunited from people posting on social media, and they don't need to come to the shelter. If those don't work and you're able to hold on to the pet for a day or two to see if the owner responds to you, that's fine. You can let us know that you found it. If you're not able to hold on to it and you can't find the owner, then the shelter is here. You can call our 769-8856 Monday through Friday if you need assistance in picking up the lost dog, or you can bring it to the shelter Tuesday through Saturday, 1 to 5. All of our pets are listed online. We do post also our found pets and lost pets as well. So you should be able to go and see if you see a match if you found a pet. Now, if you've lost your pet, we definitely start immediately. Don't wait and say, oh, it'll come home. The more people, the key of this is the more people that know your pet is missing are more people and eyes looking for your pet. There's not just one solution that works best. Talk to the area where the pet was lost, talk to neighbors, let them know. Post on social media. There's some great lost pet groups pages out there. Post signs and flyers. It seems kind of old school, but people are driving by, that's what they're going to see. Oh, I've seen that cat. If your pet has a microchip, contact your microchip company and let them know it's missing. Report your lost pet to us through our links. You can file a lost pet report. And look at the shelter either online or in person every day. Our photos are updated every hour. So with an animal coming and going, you're going to see if it's here. We also do recommend you come and look. For example, if you've got a black cat, a lot of black cats look the same. So sometimes you need to come here and see just to make sure, see how the cat responds and really identify your cat. So coming in person is helpful. And don't give up. Scared pets can hide, or people will bring them inside by finders, which is why putting it out there as much as possible helps people to say, oh, I found a cat that looks like that and I saw a poster. Let me go call that number. Or on social media, but just don't give up. We've had pets lost for days, weeks, even months. And if you kind of do all the things, then you're doing everything that you can to help your pet come home. One thing I did want to touch on is that we are doing this adoption promotion this week, hoping to make a little room, knowing that we're going to get some animals coming in this week. So we are having a Clear the Shelter adoption special. All of our cats and kittens are $20. All of our dogs and puppies, our adoption fee is $50. We're going to end this on July 8th. It says July 1st, but we started it early. So all of our animals are seen on our website, hitchcockroadanimals.org. I put it in the chat. And that's all I've got.
Thank you so much, Cindy. And thanks for the kind of the common sense approach to it. I think, people think, oh, my dog will be fine, be fine. And it won't be. And you just never know. So what will happen, when those fireworks go off. So just keeping all those great tips in mind will keep our pets safer. Thanks as always, Cindy, for joining us.
Thank you. I think Matthew had a question.
I think he was applauding you.
Oh,
Matthew,
got it.
were you applauding her?
Yes, sorry about that. I live in Seaside and that was very valuable information. And I was definitely applauding. Thank you so much for all of that great information.
And I have a request too of Cindy and of Matthew. If you guys have graphics that cover some of the topics that you talked about today for social media, if you wouldn't mind sharing them with Maya or myself, so we can get those online, because I know that we can all work together to make sure that as many people as possible see these important messages that you shared with us today. So thank you so much.
Sure thing.
All right, thank you. And thank you all for joining us in the news briefing today. Our next briefing is next week. We'll see you then.